Do you ever feel like modern music just doesn't hit the same way as the classics? Well, you're not alone. Many people think today's hits lack the magic of older tunes. In this video, we'll dive into why modern music sounds the way it does and what might be missing from today's tracks. When we talk about modern music, we're mostly referring to the pop hits that dominate today's tracks. But this idea of what's modern changes quickly. 10 years ago, the sounds we considered today's music were still evolving. Over the last couple of decades, music production has changed so much, especially with advances in technology. In the past, music was mostly made with traditional instruments in big studios. If you wanted to record an album, you needed to book studio time, hire a team of producers and engineers, and work with expensive equipment. But now, music production has become something anyone can do from their bedroom with just a computer and some software. Thanks to programs like FL Studio, Ableton, and others, the barrier to entry is much lower, and that's made a huge difference in the kind of music being produced. At the same time, the way we listen to music has changed too. The rise of streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube means that most people no longer buy full albums. Instead, they stream songs, create playlists, and discover new music through algorithms. This has made it easier to find music, but it's also shaped the kind of music that gets popular. Artists now know that in order to get noticed, their songs need to grab listeners quickly. This has led to music that's often short, repetitive, and very catchy, songs that are easy to listen to without requiring much thought. These earworms might be great for getting attention in the short term, but they don't always have the lasting power of songs from past decades that took their time to build, tell a story, or express something deeper. Do you ever wonder why so many modern hits sound the same? One of the reasons might be the way streaming platforms and social media affect what's popular. Think about how songs can go viral on TikTok or YouTube. These platforms thrive on short, catchy hooks that are easy to loop over and over again. As a result, music has become even more formulaic. Songwriters and producers use similar structures to create songs that are almost guaranteed to work in these settings. This means that many songs today rely on the same basic formula: a quick hook, repetitive lyrics, and beats that make you want to dance. While there's nothing wrong with that in moderation, when you listen to enough of these songs, it can feel like all modern music is the same. What makes this even more frustrating for some listeners is that many of these songs, while catchy, can feel empty or shallow. In the past, music was often a form of personal expression. Artists like Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, or Aretha Franklin used their music to talk about their lives, their struggles, and their visions for the world. In contrast, a lot of today's pop music can feel like it's all about creating a hit with less focus on originality or depth. You might listen to a song, like it for a few days, and then forget about it because it doesn't have anything emotionally or intellectually engaging to hold on to. Another factor that influences how we hear music today is the use of technology. While technology has allowed musicians to experiment in new ways, it's also led to a certain level of perfectionism in music production. The use of autotune, digital effects, and other tools means that singers' voices can be edited to sound flawless. This can make the music sound perfect, but it also takes away the raw, real emotion that you might hear in a less polished track. Some people argue that autotune and heavy processing make today's music feel artificial because it removes the imperfections that can give a song its unique character. Compare that to the music of the past, where imperfections in a singer's voice or the natural sound of an instrument made the music feel more authentic. Even the structure of modern songs has been influenced by this push for perfection. Most pop songs today follow a similar structure: an intro, a catchy chorus, a verse, and then back to the chorus. The verses often don't say much, while the choruses are catchy, repeated several times, and are easy to sing along to. This simple structure makes the song more accessible, but it also makes it feel repetitive after a while. Songs from the past, on the other hand, often had more varied structures with more interesting arrangements and longer intros. In some genres, like rock or jazz, the music wasn't always designed to be catchy. It was designed to be expressive and experimental. If you listen to older artists like the Beatles or Pink Floyd, their music is rich with layers, complexity, and meaning. In today's musical world, however, there's a lot less room for that kind of exploration. The music industry is more about making hits than pushing boundaries. Record labels are focused on what will sell right now, which often means making songs that are predictable, safe, and familiar. If an artist can release a song with a catchy beat and simple lyrics, they're more likely to succeed than if they take risks and create something experimental. And because listeners are constantly bombarded with new music, there's not always time to appreciate the songs that take a little longer to understand. Most people don't listen to albums in full anymore. They jump from one song to the next, looking for the next big hit. However, it's important to remember that not all modern music is like this. There are still artists today who create meaningful, complex music. Genres like indie rock, alternative, hip-hop, and electronic music are filled with musicians who are pushing boundaries and experimenting with new sounds. These artists might not be topping the charts or getting millions of streams, but they're still out there creating music that's deep, innovative, and different. The problem is that mainstream music, which gets the most attention, often falls into the same repetitive formulaic patterns. But if you dig deeper into the underground or less commercialized parts of the music world, you'll find that there's still a lot of creative and interesting music to be made. It's also worth considering that the rise of digital music platforms has changed the way we experience music. With millions of songs available at the touch of a button, it's easier than ever to find something you like. However, this ease of access has led to a kind of overload. There's so much music available now that it can be hard to keep up, and it's easy to forget that music is meant to be experienced deeply. In the past, you might have bought an album, listened to it for weeks, and connected with it on a personal level. Today, people are more likely to listen to a song once or twice and then move on to something else. But could this be changing? Perhaps we're starting to see a shift as more and more people are discovering independent artists or exploring music outside of the mainstream. In fact, platforms like Bandcamp and SoundCloud have made it easier for artists to share their music directly with their audience, bypassing the need for big record labels and corporate influence. Some of these independent musicians are able to create music that feels more personal, more authentic, and less constrained by commercial interests. This could be the beginning of a new movement in music, one where the focus is on creative expression rather than what's trending. Looking forward, it's likely that music will continue to evolve, influenced by new technologies, changing cultural trends, and the shifting tastes of listeners. As artificial intelligence becomes more involved in music production, we might see even more new ways of making music. But whether or not these new methods will lead to better or worse music remains to be seen. In some ways, the future of music could be a return to the more diverse, experimental sounds of the past as artists find new ways to create and share their work outside of the commercial mainstream. But whatever happens, it's important to recognize that music is still as powerful as ever. Even if today's pop hits don't always have the same depth or complexity as older songs, they still hold an undeniable power to connect with listeners on an emotional level. The music we listen to reflects the world we live in, and as long as there are artists creating and listeners engaging, music will always have the ability to move us. So, is modern music really that bad? Maybe not. It's just different. It's shaped by new technologies, new platforms, and changing cultural tastes. And while there are certainly parts of it that feel overly commercial or formulaic, there are still plenty of great artists out there creating music that's deep, meaningful, and worth exploring. The key is finding those hidden gems even if they aren't always on the top of the charts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our latest updates. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and we'll see you guys next time.